Hello folks, Scott Grove here. What we're going to do today is teach you basic guitar theory. By guitar theory, we are actually going to use your brain, your cranium, your noggin. So for you young kids, put down the old video games. You older folks, put down whatever you have. What we're actually going to do is actually analyze how chords are made. And what I mean by this is, for example, if we are using, I'm going to show you a G bar chord right here. A lot of you may know this already, but how does this come to be? We will actually analyze why we have a root, a fifth, a root, a third, another fifth, another root. There are three roots in this thing. What is a root? I'm going to tell you in a little bit. What is a third? What is a fifth? Blah, blah, blah. We're going to cover all this. We're going to cover what makes that G a G minor. Okay, so you're going to be able to figure out how to play every chord that is available out there by figuring it out on your own. Having somebody sit here and show you every last little thing with the advent of the internet is making you all lazy. You know how to play the chords, but you can't figure out anything by yourself. So for those of you who are adventurous enough to actually learn something instead of just being shown something, I'm going to teach you how to learn. You're going to be using your pause button a whole bunch on this video. I'm warning you already. Get it out there. Put new Duracells in your remote control, because you are going to need it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to play like a game throughout the majority of the video, where I'm going to have you pause it, try to figure something out on your own, and only hit play once you think you've got it. Then you'll compare it to what I have and see if you can actually think on your own, because I'm going to teach you to think. Okay? Another thing that guitar theory will actually help you with will be learning where every single note is on your guitar. Believe it or not, this is a G. Yes, right, this is a G. That's a G, that's a G, that's a G, that's a G, that's one, there's one, there's one, there's one. They're everywhere. We're going to be able to find all those. We're also going to be able to figure out how to play, I love to call these the Vegas chords. We're in G, we'll stay in G. Here's a G major 7. Okay, what makes that different than a G7? Okay, and I'm going to teach you all that. I'm also going to teach you how to get all around the neck, like I said, but we're going to do it by using guitar theory. How to use your ones, your twos, your threes, your fours, your fives, your flatted everythings. Will you be able to play that? Yeah, I'm going to teach you how to do that, or how to figure it out on your own. Okay? So yes, all this stuff will be incorporated. There are weird sounding things out there that you guys will see in books if you still read these days. I know, I don't want to make you sound stupid, but it's just gotten that way these days. So I'm going to, like I said, make you think. That's what this video is about. I was asked to do this one. A good buddy of mine from back in Pittsburgh, Indiana, Mr. Everett Sparks, piano player. I like to give recognition where it's due. He went to one of your universities for learning piano, probably PIT, Piano Institute of Technology, not Pitt, no. And there is Guitar Institute of Technology, GIT, and I imagine if there's a Trombone Institute of Technology, that would be something else. But he said he learned just enough of this stuff, the theory, to totally screw up his playing, which is very true. This can happen. Playing, a lot of it has to do with feeling. If you have no soul, you're just not going to do well in music. But you really need to know your basic theory, which is, again, what I'm going to teach you. If there is something that comes along at you in a guitar book that says D suspended fourth, how are you going to know that this is what it is? If it says D suspended second, how are you going to know what these things are? Because I'm going to show you today how to figure them out and how to figure them out on your own. If somebody wants you to play just a regular D minor chord, you probably know how it's played, but you know, you can play it here, you can play it here, you can play it here, you can play it here. So I'm going to teach you how to figure all of this stuff out, but figure it out on your own. Okay, I'm just going to give you the tools, and again, you're going to hit pause a whole bunch of times. So there's what you're up against. Okay, so once again, I'm Scott Grove. We're going to do our basic guitar theory and then some. We'll just keep going until I think you've got it figured out. So who knows how long this thing could be. So I will see you inside here in just a couple of seconds. Alrighty folks, you've paid your 15 cents admission, so we're going to get on into this. Number one, if you don't have a guitar tuner, an electronic guitar tuner, shame, 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 shame. 15 bucks, go out and get you one. They're just little electronic things. My guitar in particular has one built in. I just push a button, hit a thing, and it'll tell me if my guitar is in tune. You can tune it to it. Go out there and get you one. In the meantime, you can tune your guitar up to me. I figure you probably already know how to tune your guitar. But here we go, low E. Here's your A. Here's your D. Here's your G. Your B. And finally your high E. Okay. Now, if you guys already know how to play a bunch of chords, that is great. But this here is for actually you people who actually probably know how to play chords, but need to go back and actually figure out how to play them. And why they are made this way, I should say. So basically, it's just like trying to read a book. You cannot read a book or form words or anything until you actually know the alphabet. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting there listening to audio books on DVD or CDs or cassettes or 8 tracks, whatever you happen to have. Okay, so you actually got to know how to do the alphabet before you can, figure out a word, let alone a sentence, or how to read a whole book. So we're taking you people that know the chords back a little bit and teaching you what you really have to know. The rest of you who are just beginning, and this is the best place to start, is we're going to train you how to figure all these things out. These are for the Poindexters out there. That's right, all you geeks, all you nerds. Actually, it's for all you smart people who know that you actually need this. Okay? So what we're going to do is teach you the number system, which is, as I've explained in my Nashville number system video and my acoustic guitar beyond the basics video, the same thing. People keep asking for a theory video when they don't realize that they're just looking over those other 2 videos that I mentioned, and it's all explained right in there, but they look for the word theory in the title, so therefore I'm giving you one. Okay, so here it is. Okay, I am going to start in the key of G, show you the basic number system, and we will build from that. Okay, on this particular guitar, the old Martin here, I have a dot on my 3rd fret on the side, but you're not going to see it on the front of the guitar. For whatever reason, they decided to put one on the 5th fret, but not on the 3rd. Who knows? So just know that there is probably on your guitar a dot or a fret marker on the 3rd fret, okay, which is where we're going to start on your low E string. Okay, so the majority of this from right now, I'm just going to keep this part of the guitar in frame, even though I am hitting strings with my right hand, of course, with my pick. Okay, what we're going to start out is the low E string on the 3rd fret, which is your G. Okay, So we're going to call this 1. Okay, we're just going to be in the key of G, so we're going to start 1, just a G chord, and we're going to figure out why that is a G chord. Okay, but first we got to get you to count to 8. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Of course, I'm going to show this to you. Again, you have do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Yep, it's that old thing. If none of you know what it is, go back, watch watch that show, the Mary Poppins thing. She'll teach you how music is actually done, believe it or not. As dumb as this sounds, this is the whole key to music. Okay, so we're going to count 1 through 8 instead of do, re, mi. Okay, so again, G is our 1. Now we're going to go to the 5th fret of that same string, the low E string, that's 2. 2nd fret of the A string for 3. 3rd fret, same string, is 4. 5th fret, same A string, 5. Now we got on your D string, 2nd fret, and your 4th fret on your D string is 7, and finally 5th fret on the D string is 8. So once again, we have 1, 5th fret is 2, go into the A string for the next 3, there's 3, on your 2nd fret, 3rd fret is 4, 5th fret is 5, oddly enough, to the D string for the rest of it, 2nd fret is 6, 4th fret is 7, and 5th fret is 8. Now what 8 is there is actually no such thing as an 8, okay? 8 equals 1. So when you actually get to 8, we started on G, so if 8 equals 1, we get to the 8, what is that note going to be? That's right, it is G, because 8 equals 1. 1 being where we started, 8 where you ended up, so those are both G notes. They're just called an octave above each other, which means it's the same note, it's just higher. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay, that's how we get there. That is what you have to know. Beyond that, believe it or not, that's the secret to every bit of this. I want you to sit here and learn how to play this thing frontwards, backwards, inside and out. I don't care if you have to hit pause or actually shut it off and work on that for 3 or 4 days, as odd as that may sound. Okay, I know it sounds stupid, horrible, blah blah blah, but this is what you paid the money for, because this is the entire secret to figuring out every chord, every song, everything to do with music, period. Okay, I swear to you. Okay, so now we're going to find out, by using that, why we have all these chords and what makes a chord up. A chord is actually no more than any 2 notes played together. Okay? But they have to go by rules. This 1 through 8 is the rules. Okay? A chord generally has a root being the name of the chord that you're trying to play. Okay? So we are trying to play a G chord. I'm going to show you a standard G chord. You probably already know it. That is fine. If you don't, then here it comes. But why does this happen? A chord is generally made up of what is called a root, the G, since we're trying to learn a G, a 3rd, and a 5th. Okay, what does that mean? No, we're not going to be drinking a 5th. Okay? Not till we celebrate after this is all figured out. Then we can celebrate and have all the 5ths you want. Okay, by a root, a 3rd, and a 5th, I need you to actually find the root. So that's our G. We're going to do it with our middle finger on the low E string, 3rd fret. Okay, but we need to find next a 3rd. So if we actually count up from our root where we started, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 is a third. Okay, imagine that. So we need a 1, a 3, and a 5. But we're calling a root third and a fifth. Same thing as 1, 3, and 5. So we have a 1. We know that's going to be in the chord, that we have to play that note. 1, 2, 3. There's a 3. By golly, that's awful close to here. So we can snag that. And we also need a fifth. A 1, a 3, and a 5 to make a major chord. What I showed you before was your G major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is a G major pentatonic scale, if you ever want that word. Pentatonic. So that's a G major scale. So we're going to get 1, 2, 3. We have 2 of our 3 notes we need. Okay, we need 1 more note. Okay, we need a 5. So let's get it. We need a fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there's a note, but it's already on the same string as our 3. 1, 2, 3. We know we need these 2, but we can't add that 5 on there, can we? So we need to find that note, but on another string. Luckily enough for us, if you know how to tune a guitar starting at the 5th fret by playing the 5th fret and then the open string under it, then you will recognize when you go down to this D note at the 5th fret on your A string and then open D string, that hey, that is a D note. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you'll recognize that that is a D. And lo and behold, what do we have down here? We have a D string open. So you have to find the 5th, or any of these, try to find the next logical place to play the next note. So you have your 1, your root, your 3rd, and now we've realized that we cannot play the 5th on the same note as our 3rd, so we need to go to the next note. That is a D. So we have to play a D by playing an open D string. So we have a 3rd, a root, and a 5th. So far we have that in and of itself constitutes a chord. But that doesn't make your whole G chord, does it? Okay, now here's where it gets very self-explanatory. You can use as many 1s, 3s, and 5s, or roots, 3rds, and 5ths as you want to within a chord. In this particular chord, there are actually 3 roots. So that means there's going to be 3 G notes. There's going to be 2 thirds in it. Okay, so if you have a G, regular G chord, I'm going to name them as I go down strumming the chord. I'll step back. So starting from the lowest, we have a root, a 3rd, a 5th, open G string is a root again. Now a open B string is a 3rd, same as your what you have up here on your A string, just an octave higher. And then finally another G or a root. So you have 3 octaves worth of roots. A G here, an open G string, and you have fretted on your 3rd string, right here on your high E string, another G or another root. So we have our full chord. So it is made up of roots, 3rds, and 5ths. It's just a matter of how many of them there actually are within the chord. And you will find this out with every chord that you play, that there are multiples of a lot of the notes. Okay? So in order to hammer this thing home, I'm going to actually play what I feel is a much better sounding G chord. And I use this, I never use the G chord the way I showed you. I actually add another 5th in there. What was our fifth? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's G, A, B, C, D. So another D note, which I actually use 3rd fret on the B string. So I play my regular G chord, but then I actually add that and then put my pinky under it. So it's a bigger sounding chord. I'm actually adding another 5th and getting rid of 2/3. So I have usually have that 3rd and that B string open 3rd, which 3rds are very weird. They make chords sound weird, but they are not always important to have in a chord. I will show you that in a little bit. But having 2/3 in a chord even makes it worse than normal. But 2/5 is always a good thing. So I'm actually using 2/5, opting to omit or get rid of one of the 3rds and cover it up by changing it to a 5th. Now here it is with just a regular G. I personally don't like that. I like... So that's my preference, but there's that. Now how do we figure out that all these other ones are 3rds and 5ths, blah, blah, blah? Okay? Now a guitar is a very imperfect instrument. When you're tuning it without a tuner, you do that 5th fret thing and then the open string below it, then you go down, 5th fret, open string, 5th fret, open string. Then you have to drop down to the 4th fret on the G string to do, and then the open B string. Then back up to the 5th fret on the B string to do that kind of thing. So somebody designed this thing wrong. You know, bass guitars are tuned correctly, blah, blah, blah. Most every guitar, other than a pedal steel guitar, is tuned directly to pitch. But for some reason somebody screwed up when inventing the tuning on a guitar. Even when a guitar is supposedly in tune, it is not in tune. People change the way the nut is designed, different things to try to get them in tune, and they will never ever be perfectly in tune, no matter what you do. So back on track, a guitar is not a perfect instrument. So this scale, G major scale, okay, that will get you through finding your roots, 3rds, and 5ths on the first 3 strings on these low strings. But then, like say, you start on C, which is the 3rd fret, on your A string, and you do that exact same scale. This is always going to look the same on these 2 sets of strings. So if you're in C and you want to play a C, there is where your learning curve would start. You would start on your root, start looking for your 3rd and your 5th. 1, 2, 3. Okay, there's your 1, your 3. Then we actually add in our 5th because it's going to go to, just like it did on the G, there's a 5th. We can't play it on the same string, so we have to do an open G string. So you're almost there. Then we're going to add another root, and then another 5th. I'm going to show you how to find those. You actually just did, but you don't know it yet. Now here's where it changes. Is when you're trying to do, like say, especially like an F, if you know an F chord already, and you're trying to find these. Everything, the scale changes now. It's still the same scale, but because of the way you have to tune that B string, and switching back, and then back up here, you have to compensate for this. So starting from your 3rd fret on your D string, or F note, we're going to go 1, 2, just like normal, 3, 4, just like normal, 5. Now we have to go to the 3rd fret for our 6, 7, 8. So that's 3rd fret, 5th fret, 6th fret. Okay, so now instead of having this reach for our octaves are 1 through 8, or so you could always get your octaves that way. Starting from the 1 on this F, 3rd fret, On your D string, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now here's where we change it up. You're going to the 3rd fret, 5th fret, and now 6th. So now your octaves apart, your 1 and your 8, which is your 1, are going to be on the 3rd fret on your D string, and now the 6th fret on your B string. Okay, so that takes you even further. That's quite a stretch, but you have to learn it. And it's going to be the exact same way all the way up the neck. So if you were in G, like where we started, and you found the 8, which equals 1, you could start there and start climbing the scale and start learning your way around the neck, because we have, now you start from there. But you have to change that pattern now because we are incorporating the B string. Okay, so anytime you incorporate the B string, you're going to have to just sharp it 1 fret, meaning going up the neck. This is actually up the neck. You would think it would be this way because when your guitar is sitting down, you're going up this way. No, that's down. Reason being, listen. The sound's going up or sharp. This way is down the neck. Okay, so get used to that. That's going flat. Sharp is going up. So if you have a G note, here's G sharp. or A sharp. But if you're going backwards, there's G. G flat. F. E, E flat. You count it as flats as you're going down, sharps as you're going up. Okay? So now we will go to that G note here on the 5th fret on your D string, and we will try the scale again. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, remember the B string is going to be in our path, so we will have to go sharp by 1 note on every note on the B string, just like we did when we were down here in F. So here in G, 5th fret on your D string, there's 1, 2 is your 7th fret, 3 is 4th fret on the G string, 4 is on your 5th fret, 5 is on your 7th fret. Now we're going to have to change it because we're going on the B string. So now you're on your 5th fret, 7th, and finally 8. Okay? Now what gets different here is I'm going to ask you to actually go from there. You actually stop there. Now we're back to normal. Okay? We can actually go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then everything runs out. Okay? But if you actually want to start on that 1, because it is 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You want to keep climbing up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is just like when you're at the beginning or anytime. Same scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We should be able to climb up. We can, and I'll show you how to do that. Real quick, open G string. Since we're working in G, you know that these double dots at the 12th fret, open, is an octave higher. So you can start there, and it's the same as where we started here, where we were getting ready to do this. But we want to go higher, so we can get up to another 8 or a 1. So we have to think in our heads. This is what we're doing, we're thinking. So what we're going to do is go way up there. How do we do this? The same thing we were doing before, but now it changes up. This is what I wanted to show you. When you are working out of just these 3 strings, your G string, your B string, your E string, again, remember your B string is that imperfect part of the guitar. So we will actually be going from our 1, 1, 2. Now instead of going back for our 3, since we're on the or on the B string, we have to take everything up 1 fret than what we are used to doing. So we have now 1, 2, now just straight down 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'll count out the frets for you. These are high if you can reach these on your particular guitar. So 12th fret on your G string, or your double dots, 14. Now we're going to the B string, everything's different, but just by 1 fret up, or sharp. So 1, 2, now we're going to the 12th fret on the B string for our 3. Now the 4 is the 13th, 5 is the 15th, we're going to our E string for the rest, 12th fret, 14th fret, and 15th. So there you have. Okay, this is where our learning curve kicks in. Okay, so you have 3 or 4 different places now. You have this G scale. You can keep going up. And now we want to keep going higher. We know now that we're going to run out of room here. If you're starting on your B string, you are going to run out of room. Okay, so know that you have to switch it somewhere. So you have to learn. Now that this is your G string and your G note again, here at the 12th fret, and now that you can do that whole scale again, but remember that pesky B string is in your way, so everything has to be sharped by 1. Again, I will count them out. You get 12, 14, now B string, 12, 13, 15, E string, 12, 14, 15. So get used to all 3 ways of playing that scale in each position. By position, I mean you're down here in your first position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're going up here to this second one, which is a different way of playing it because the B string's in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? You'll know if you're wrong because it won't sound like that do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You'll know if you're wrong. You'll hear it. And then finally, way up here, starting on the 12th fret, again, it's another pattern, same notes. Okay, but again, it's just counting 1 through 8. So that is our scale in every position possibly obtainable on a guitar. Okay, again, now we're going to go back down here for the reason we're here. I know we're a half hour into this thing. And again, we had our G chord. And again, we had, starting on your low E string, you had your root, followed by your third. How did we get there? 1, 2, 3, and our 5th. Open D string. Why? Because we could not put another finger on the same string that we already had our 3rd on. So we had to pick a new place, which happened to be an open string, our D string. So we had our root, our 3rd, our 5th, which is a chord. But now we're adding another root, which is our G, open G string, nothing on it. Open means there's no finger on it. It's just an open string like this. It don't matter if you have your fingers up here or not, it's open. And an open B string if you want to play it that way, which is the same note as your 3rd here, so that is another 3rd. And then finally, if you want to use your pinky or if you want to use your ring finger on the 3rd fret on the high E string, that's another root or a 1. So you have root, 3rd, 5th, root, 5th, root. Or like I showed you, you can substitute your B string, which is a 5th, a 3rd. Your B is a 3rd in this chord, and switch it out for a 5th, which is a D note, same as your other 5th. It's an octave higher, and then add your 1 underneath it, or your pinky under it. So you actually get this. The other way without your pinky, or without your 5th. Sounds like that, or, which I prefer myself, you choose whatever you want. This is music. Play it your way, kiddo. I'm just giving you the rules. You do with them as you will. Be creative. That's what music's about. Okay, the next one I'm going to have you figure out. This is the pause button thing I was talking to you about. We're actually going to go to the, let's go to the C chord. I kind of gave some of this away. I'm sure you know how to play it, but I want you to point out to me by using this stuff what the roots, the thirds, and the fifths are in this chord. Okay, if you do not know how to play a C chord, I will go ahead and show that to you right now. We'll go into this slowly. On your A string, so right there, you're going to put your ring finger on the 3rd fret, your middle finger on the D string at the 2nd fret. Your next string, your G string, will be open. Your next string, your B string, will have your 1st finger on the 1st fret. And finally you'll have an open E string, which means nothing's being played. If you ever hear this, that means that the fat part of the underside of your finger, which is here on the 1st fret, is actually touching your string underneath it. So you will feel it vibrating against there. You have to arch your finger so it looks like that. We're looking at this finger, not my thumb that's arched. So you have to actually arch all of your fingers. Okay, I'll give you a side view. There's what you're looking at. So you're trying to actually create a little choo-choo tunnel right underneath there for that high E string to ring underneath it without this being over enough that it makes that, okay? That's the only reason you're getting that. You have to straighten it out so that it clears that. So you got to make room for the little choo-choo to go through the tunnel, okay? Don't mean to make you all sound like you're 3 years old, but that's what's happening. Some of you are more advanced, some of you are not. So I will cover all the bases for all of you. Okay, now like I said, we're going to figure this out. You're going to figure it out. I already got it figured out. That's why we're here. I want you to tell me what the roots, the thirds, and the fifths are in this. Again, since this is a C chord now, I will give you a hint. That 3rd fret on your A string, so you've got A sharp, because we're going up, B, and then C. That is your root. Okay, so now we have to find the 3rd. I just showed you how to play the chord, and we have to find the 5th also. And I'll give you a hint. There's another root in this, and there is another 3rd. So there are 2 roots, 2 thirds, 1 5th. How do we find this? We have to start on the C, our root. And you remember how to play the scale? If not, shame on you. I'm going to make a rewind and go figure out how to play that scale to teach you how to play the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But you're going to start here. I'll turn around backwards so you can't see it. You got to find 1, 2, 3. You got to find that note. So you got the 1, 1, 2, 3. You got to find that note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got to find that note. Believe me, it's going to end up on the same note as when your other finger's already on. So I want you to figure these out. Okay? I want you to figure out all 5 notes in this. I want you to tell me where the 2 roots are, the 2 thirds, I'm sorry, yes, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you've got 2 roots, 2 thirds, and 1 5th in this thing. Okay, so pause this thing right now. Figure it out, come back, and we'll see if you got it right, okay? I know it's early, but we're going to do it right now. So a C chord, 2 roots, 2 thirds, and a 5th in this thing. Go find them. See you back here in a second. Okay, if you did what I told you to do, you should already have these by now. Okay, what is your first note in this thing? Your C note, your root. That's right. If you got it right, you should be playing that note. Play along with me, see if you got it. Okay, I'm taking my guitar off the picture here. Along with that, I want you to play the third with it. So you're playing a root and a third. Put those two together, your root and your third. Play those two together, root and then third. Now see if yours sounds like mine. If you got it right, they should sound like that. If you got it wrong, we'll figure out why in just a second. Okay, now we got a fifth. I want you to play root, third, fifth, all ringing together. I'm keeping this thing off the screen. Okay, this is how we learn. Root, third, fifth. Okay, if you got them right, they should sound like this. Okay. What we do now with the chord is we actually, and I showed you this chord so you can't hardly miss. The next one you will miss. So that's root, third, fifth. But to finish out a regular C chord, the next note we need is another root. So you need that note again. So you got root, third, fifth, and here's another root. Same as your root here, but an octave higher. Okay, and now we're going to have another fifth, which is that, if you figured it out correctly, which is the same. I'm sorry, it's another third actually. I do make mistakes. Root, third, fifth, then root, and a third, again. Root, third, fifth, root, third. Okay? If we could make another one fifth, we'd actually add that on top of it, and I'll show you how I got that in a little bit. Once again, root, third, fifth, root, third is the way a C chord works out. Here it is in the picture frame. We have root, third, fifth, root, third. Okay? The way these came about, if you screwed up somewhere, okay, that's what I'm here to show you. We started off on the root, third fret on your A string, which is your C. 1, 2, 3. So that is an E note. So we have a C and an E. There's our root and our third. Okay, now we need a fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, how do we get this? I'm sorry, I was doing here. Get it on screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need that note. What note is that? That's the 5th fret on our D string. Again, we're lucky. It's just like you're tuning a guitar. But if you know your notes, which I hope you do, if you don't, you can find what your notes are on any website. They will show you the notes of your guitar. But that is a G. So we have an open G string. So we have our root, our C. We have our third, which is an E. We have an open G string, which is our 5th. So 1, third, 5, root, third, 5th. And then we're just making another root by putting, just like I showed you, our first finger on the 1st fret of the B string, which takes it from a B to a C, same as the octaves. So we have root, third, 5th, our octave root, and our octave third. So there's our second note, that E. is the same as our open E string. So root, third, fifth, root, third. So that shows you how a chord is formed. Like I said, there are multiples in some chords. Other chords, there may not even be a third. In some chords, such as a minor chord, you actually flat the third. I'll show you what that means in a little bit. I'm getting ahead of myself, but we're showing you what's coming up. Okay, now we're going to switch this thing around a little bit. I'm going to have you figure out, okay, a regular D chord. D as in dog. Okay, thing here we have the luxury of, or the misluxury of, which might throw some of you off, is our open D string. Okay, so you got E, A, D. So you're one that sounds like that, you're D. Okay, we have no place to really go on this as far as how to do that. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Okay. What we do is we still have to come up with that. So we have to do it someplace else. Since it ain't going to work on the open string because you have nowhere to really go with this. 1, 2, that's a 4, so there's no place for a 3. So we got to go up to someplace else where there's a D where we can start. So because we need a root. So instead of that open D string, we need to find another D, which is, okay, we learned this earlier, just like tuning your guitar. So on your A string, at the 5th fret, okay, that's where we're going to start at. Now this is where you have to know your notes on your guitar, okay, because we're going to start figuring out that we need, okay, 1, 2, 3, what note is that? That's an F sharp. 1, 2, 3, 4, what note is that? 4, that's a G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what note is that? That's an A. Okay, so you have to know these things that quick. Again, the only way to know those is to study those and to figure out what note is on every single fret of every single string. Okay? Nobody can teach you that but you. Okay? I could sit here all day and go, that's an A, that's an A sharp, that's a B, that's a C. There's no way around you actually. Like I said, if you're on the computer, that's the only way you found me to teach you this stuff. Just go on there and print you out a simple note chart that shows you where every note is. Okay? And then you have to learn those. I mean, you can't just breeze by. You actually have to learn something. Okay? So here we are on the A string on the 5th fret, which is a D note. Again, we're going to try to learn how to play a D chord. Okay? So we're going to do the same as we did with the C. You're going to have to stop and pause this thing, figure it out, and analyze what each note is. Okay, so we're going to go, we have a root. Okay, so that is our root, the D, which we know we will be able to play just with an open D string. Okay, next we're actually going to have to find, what can we do? We need a root, a third, and a fifth. Okay, so we're going to go 1, get that because that's our root, and that same scale up. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're going to need that note. What note is that? Can you guys tell me? Can anybody out there tell me what that note is? Because we have to have it in our chord. Okay, what that is an F sharp. Okay, how do we get an F sharp? What is the most logical place to have an F sharp? If you're going to be playing your chord down here, if you guys were playing an F chord before, F sharp, just moving it up one, going up the neck. Okay, so that's actually where it's at. So you can compare it by checking that note against that note and making sure you have it right. So you'll be doing a lot of comparing octaves to make sure that it is the correct note. So if you think about it alphabetically, F sharp is closest to what open string? A, B, C, D, E, F, G is all the notes there are in music except for the sharps and the flats. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. What comes before F, E? What do you have available open to you? You have E. If you put your first finger there, that's an F because there is no such thing as an E sharp. And then F sharp as you go up. So that's how we figured this out. So you have O1, your root. We have a third now, okay? Because we did this. Okay? So I need you to figure out the rest of this. I showed you the majority of it. Okay, the rest of the D chord. You go figure it out. We need a root. We just found the third. You need to figure out the fifth. And there's going to be another root in this thing. So I'm giving it away one last time. So it's actually, the chord's going to be spelled out. A root, which is going to be your open D string. The very next note that you're going to be looking for to go underneath that on the G string is going to be your fifth. Go find it by using that scale. Go find it and then find it on another string. That's what you're going to have to do. And then you're going to have another root. And then that third that I just showed you. Okay, this is tough. It's not easy stuff. But it will be once you learn it. It's going to be so easy. And this is the stuff that's going to make you be able to play instead of just this. You're going to be able to now go. That's the stuff that's going to get you to that. We will get to that stuff today, or at least on this tape, or this video, whatever form it comes to you in. If I got to write it on a rock, I will. Okay, so pause and find out how to play a D chord. If you know how to play it, I want you to be able to come back and tell me what the roots, the thirds, and the fifths are in this chord. But one hint before you hit pause, there's only 4 notes that you will be playing with your right hand. So we're looking at 4 notes. A root, a fifth, a root, and a third. Okay, hit pause. Okay, if you did like I said, you should be back with me, and I'm going down here again. Play your root. That should be it. That's right, it's your open D string. Okay, the next note in a D chord. I asked you to look for a fifth. Did you come up with this? Play it. If you don't have that, you have failed me. You will go stand in the corner. Okay, root and fifth together. Root fifth, root fifth, root fifth, root fifth. And then we have another root. So now we have a 1, 5, 1, 1, 5, 1, and then the other one I gave you, the third, which was your F sharp. So we have a root, a fifth, a root, and a third. What I'm trying to prove here is these are not always going to be root, third, fifth in that order. They will be out of order. They will be all over the place. Your root might be on the last note you play and not even have a low root note. In this example, I can play this chord now without a root in the bottom. I'm just going to add an extra third. So I went 1, 2, 3, added an extra third. So now there's no root in the bottom. The only root in here is this one. So it can be played all kinds of different ways. Okay, so don't take for granted that everything is always going to be spelled out root, third, fifth. That's why I'm showing you the D chord, because it's not. Okay, again, you should have this for those of you who did not know how to play a D chord before we come here. Okay, what we have is the root, your open D string. Our fifth we were looking for ends up being an A note, which is the 2nd fret on your G string. So you have these two notes, root, fifth, because we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we needed that note, our fifth. That's an A note. And that's how you find it. You find that note, then you find something else way down here that you can actually play, because you can't be stretching like this. You got to get them all grouped together, because this is your final chord, your D chord. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's your root, your fifth that I asked you to look for. So the closest to your D string being open, that you can play that A note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is going to be here. You have to find these things. Okay? This is teaching. This is you learning, me teaching. Okay? Now the next thing we have is another root. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's just another D note. What's the closest to a D is on an open string anyway. Letter-wise, B is the closest one. B, which is your second string. B, C. There's no such thing as a B sharp. B, C, C sharp, D. So if you can stretch that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you can actually go. Okay, those are right. Okay, now we needed that third. I showed it to you. It's right there. That F sharp, which is 1, 2, 3. And you can't play it there because it's not close enough to your stuff unless you really reach a pinky up there. But then you're covering up your root. One of your roots anyway. So you have another F sharp. So that's your E. Closest thing, like I showed you, closest thing to an F sharp is an E, because F is the next note, then F sharp. So you end up with your root, your fifth, another root, and then finally your third. So all four together give you your D chord. Root, fifth, root, third. Very strange. Okay? But that is how you knew probably how to play a D chord, and this is why it is what it is. Now here, coming up next, I'm going to start explaining to you how to do weird things to your chords. Okay, we're going to go through more of these, but we've got actually another hour to work on these. Another hour worth of video. So I'm going to show you how to take that, make it a D major 7, make it a D dominant 7, make it a D suspended 2nd, make it a D suspended 4th, blah blah blah, all the way down the line, how to make that a D, let's say, it's a D7. Okay, so how to make all kinds of things out of this. Once again, it's all going to be based on that. Every bit of this entire video will be that way. Okay, so now we are getting ready to do some kind of flippy thing with the screen as I actually change digital tape here in this camera. And we'll be right back and we'll start working on some variations of things. Okay, so hang on. Here we go. Watch this. Alrighty, we're back from that little flippy thing. Okay, while we're still here on the D chord, I promised you I'm going to show you all these variations and what makes them happen. Okay, so you have your D chord. Okay, we're going to get off onto a little different tangent here, a little different fun thing, and we're going to show you what all these things were I was just now talking about. The major 7ths, the dominant 7ths, the suspended chords, the minor chords, how to make these happen, and what makes them happen. Okay, as I told you, a major scale, which was the okay, if you'll notice, right before you get to the 8, so you're 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right back to your 1, is only 1 fret difference. Okay? There's 7 and then 8. This is your major 7 scale. So if somebody was to ask you to play a D major 7, what you actually have to do, okay, I'll put it in the key of D now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I'm starting on D, 5th fret, on the A string. That's the note we're going to need, is that major 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that's what we're actually looking for. What note is that? That's actually D flat, because the next note is just back to 1 again, your D. So if you take it down 1, you are flatting it. So you're looking for a D flat. So you apply that to your D chord. You have your regular D chord. Okay, you have an open D string, which you cannot flat unless you were to actually detune it. But luckily we have one more root note, or your D, which we can flat. Okay, you try to get it down here. Okay, that's what you're going to do, is take this and just move it 1, and then you'll have a D major 7. But can you do that? Is it comfortable? Let me just answer that. No. You can. That's the chord we're looking for. If you want to play it that way, cool. But there's an easier way to do it. If you notice this, you've got 3 fingers all on the same fret now. All on the same fret. All on the 2nd. With 1 open string. Your open D string. So what's the easiest way to do this? It's what's called barring. B-A-R-R-E. Bar. B-A-R-R-E. Why they spell it that way? Who knows? Who cares? That's the way it is. Do this. Take 1 finger. Cover those 3 strings. It's going to seem weird if you've never done it before. If you have, bear with us. Let the others catch up. So now, there's that chord. D major 7. You'll hear this a lot in mellow tunes, or at the very end of a Las Vegas show group. You know, you're playing along. So you're at the Tropicana, and then off on the band. And they end on that soft, pretty note. Yeah, that's right. That's a D major 7. Any of your major 7s are going to sound that way. So no matter what you're playing, if you're playing that G chord and you want to flat your root, the best one to do is your highest root. Like I said, you're going to have more than 1 root, and most of these chords are going to have more than 1 of everything. So that's your highest root. How you going to flat that? Just move it back 1. That one's rough. That's about the roughest one it is. So you just know that you always take the root flat at 1. That's how you get it. If you're playing C, your highest one is that one. So to flat it, just lift it up, and that flats 1. So instead of, there's C, there's C major 7. You just take the root that is highest and flat it. So just back 1 fret. So it makes sense to go from this to go to this, instead of trying to just move that back. If it works for you, cool. Everybody's different. Okay? Now, for a 7th chord. Okay, that's major 7. Now your dominant 7th has nothing to do with your little scale that you were doing. It does, it doesn't. Is even flatting that 7th 1 more time. Okay? So if you're taking your root note, your D, and then flatting it once, then you want to flat that note 1 more time, you're going to have to take it back to there and then put these 2 back where they were. You're actually changing fingers to make this happen. So now you end up with, so that is a D major 7. People will just call this a D7. If you ever see it written down somewhere where it says D7, this is what they are talking about. They will never specify that this is a D dominant 7th. They will just say D7. if it's on a piece of paper for you. So if you see sheet music, it says D7, that's the chord they're talking about. If it says D major 7, it'll just say D, M-A-J in small letters, 7. But that's the only one they will actually spell out for you, D major 7, D major 7. But if it says D7, last time, they are talking about the dominant 7th. So you actually flat the root twice. So you go from D major 7 to D7 is what they're going to call this, D7. Okay, so now you still have your 2 everything that you had before, but you're just taking your highest root and flatting it twice. What these are used for is if you're going from a song, like from a D to a G to a G, okay, before you switch there, going to a 7th, before you go to the G, always let people know that you're getting ready to switch chords. By people, I mean if you're in a band. It lets them know that you're getting ready to switch chords, even if they don't know how to play the song. By you doing that, lets them know where you're getting ready to go to and that you are getting ready to change chords. Listen to it by example, and you'll be able to tell that I'm getting ready to switch a chord when I go from a D to a D7. Okay, you'll hear that I'm getting ready to switch chords, and you'll know which one I'm going to. Okay, so you hear how that works. Okay, I just threw it in a little later there just to show you the difference. But it leads you into something. It lets you know you're going somewhere. You're going to transfer to another chord. So that's what they're good for. Okay, so that is how you make a 7th chord. If you are in G, I showed you G major 7. And one more time, if it flattened that same note, you can't make it. You can't get that finger back there. So you got to reconfigure your fingers to accommodate. Okay, so we went from here to major 7th to 7th. And you have to change your fingers around. Okay, sometimes you just got to switch your fingers. That's just the way it is. Okay, so what a G always looks like, you may have to switch it around. You might have to use different fingers. It's going to feel weird, but this is how we get her done. Okay, so if we were in G, G7, you play that and then let somebody know you're getting ready to switch to the next chord. So that's what the 7ths are called, and how the 7ths, the major 7 and the 7th. Okay, now you get into minor chords. What is a minor? A minor simply means flat the 3rd. Okay, that's all it is. So you have a D, D major. Major only means it's a regular chord. Okay, that's all it is. It's got a root, a 3rd, and a 5th. That's a major chord. Okay, right now we know from just a couple minutes ago that is your 3rd. So here we can start on our 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know from the scale, 1, 2, 3. That is your 3rd. So what do you do with it? You have to flat it. So that means you have to take it back 1. You physically cannot do this. It can't go back with your other fingers the way they are. So you know where it has to go. It has to go back here, because you're just going to flat it just once. If I say flat it, that just means once. Okay? So you flat the 3rd to get a D minor. There's your major. So in order to get that, you're going to have to reconfigure your fingers. The one, you're going to have to put that middle one up there on the 2nd fret on the A string, and then put your 1st finger on the 1st fret of the E string. So now you actually have a D minor. Everything else is what it was. You just had to reconfigure your fingers, because now if I move that up, that's a D. Move it down, flat the 3rd. Okay, minor chords are used all over the place. They are probably used in heavy metal quite a bit. Bands play their power ballads. Okay, so they're doing that. That's how you make a minor. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. This is where you have to learn. So all of your chords, go back, find out where your third is, and figure out how to make a minor chord out of it. Okay, I'm going to show you this where there might be one in a song. So like that D minor. Okay, I'm going to say, let's do, okay. Up to F from C. Now I'm going to do the D minor. So there's where you would hear one. Garth Brooks, if you want to go on the countryside for any reason, which I actually like. Thunder Rolls is in D minor. It's just got a great sound to it. You'll hear, like I said, your heavy metal groups play a lot of songs. Like here's an E chord. If you know an E, this right here is your third. You'll figure that out on your own, because that's what we're here for, to let you figure things out on your own. That is your third. To flat it, you only go down one, which makes it open instead of major. You're flatting your third. Okay, so that's a minor. Okay, there's going to be other things that you're going to want to use. We didn't learn to count to 8 to only use a couple of these numbers, a 1, 3, and a 5, or just a 7th. We're going to add the 2 and the 4 now. These, we're going back to the D to learn these. Again, count up. We're going to go to, you will see on some chord charts where it says D, sus, letters S-U-S, which stands for suspended. The word suspended loosely translates to strictly the word add. Okay, so if you see D suspended 4th or D sus 4, what the heck is that? Do you care? You better care, because I'm just going to teach you how to play something, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So D sus 4 says what? D add 4. Suspended means add. So you're going to add to your D chord a 4. What is a 4? Well, that's what we've been talking about this whole time. So find out what a 4 is, starting from D. 1, 2, 3, 4. What note is that? That is a G note. How do we find this? You learn it. How do you learn it? Print out a piece of paper or figure out all your notes. Okay, so that is a G. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're playing our D chord. What's another way? How can we add a G? Where is a G? Well, actually, there's a G that we don't have covered yet. Where it is right here, just like in your G chord. 3rd fret on the E string. But you're like, I've already got my 3rd, right there. That's okay. You're adding, just like suspended means. You're adding it to it. So if you cover up a string that already has something on it, fine. That's okay. It's okay. It's just music. Okay? So you're adding. It don't mean you're taking anything away. Suspended means add. So that's it. That's your D suspended 4th. Because you just added a 4 to it. You just added a G. You take it off. Add it. So you're going from D major to D suspended 4th. So that's all we're getting done. So changing the 3rd, this guy, you're actually just going from 3 to 4. Okay, now if they have a D suspended second, okay, we have to put a 2 in here. What's a 2? Go back to D again, do your scale. 1, 2, oh, hey, we're there already. What is that note? That is an E note. Okay, so in D, where can we find an E? By golly, the best place it's always going to sound is going to be your highest available note. Do we have an E? Yeah, we got an open E string, but we've already got a finger on there, right there, that one that's doing the third. Get rid of that thing. Make room for that E. We need an E. We just got called to do a D suspended second, so just get rid of that finger, and all of a sudden we've just added an E to it. Okay, that's what happens when you get rid of that finger. So we just, whatever the cost, if there's a suspended chord, you make it that note happen. If it says D suspended second, you get rid of or add to or whatever you have to make it a suspended chord. So we're adding an E. So we're just getting rid of that third and just adding that E in there. Okay, so that's all we did, is we just took off our third, that note. So there's D suspended second. Now back to D major. Now D suspended fourth, we add the fourth. So now if we use those D's, D suspended second, so here's D, D suspended second, D4, or D suspended 4, back to D major. Now you got that's how you get those. So in any chord that you're using, that's what they mean. If you have an A chord, which some of you will be playing like this, I'm not here to teach you every chord. You got to figure out the chords by yourself. I've already given you the tools. We're going to zoom through here. You can find out how to play the chord on any book, any internet thing, blah, blah, blah. It's better for your brain for you to figure them out yourselves. Because there's a root, open A string. There's a fifth, there's another root, there's a third, and there's another fifth A chord. How do we make, okay, there's A, there's our root. If we want to make an A major 7 out of it, we would have to take the, okay, so now we have to reconfigure everything. And then A7, you'd have to actually flap that one more time. Okay, what do we do if I play A's generally like this and bar it? If I want to be a suspended second, I know if I go A, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, just from our scale. So here's A suspended second. If I want an A4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know I got to add that note. Well, I can just lay that behind it. There's A suspended 4. So now I know I can just sit here and pick around. So there's something going on here, isn't there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. So if I'm playing in A, it's playing rhythm. And now I just knew that. I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm playing lead guitar now. Okay, folks, it's that easy. You just got to work on it. Okay, so that's why these are here. I told you we're going to get to some fun stuff. It's getting ready to happen. And remember, there's a word called modal, M-O-T-I-L-E, for some chords that you can move anywhere you want, and they'll be fine. A is one of those chords. Here's an A. You can move it up to, I don't care, 5th fret. That's C. You can do the same things I was just doing. And here's the 5, and here's 6, and back to 1. Okay, oddly enough, if you go on the G string, any of these strings actually, where your 1 is, if you go one string above it, that is a 5 automatically. Okay, there's a 1, here's a 5. 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's from your scale, getting to it. Okay, so you can actually go, if you're playing this like an A chord, this is the best way to do things, kiddies. Here's your quickest way to lead guitar. Don't let this pass you by. Okay, so you have your 1 right here in the middle. We're in C right now because we're playing an A chord, but instead of A sharp, B, C. So we can play 1, 2, 3, 4. We can keep building it up. You know that scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can do it all the way. 1, 2, all that do, re, mi junk. Think of this. So you have 5 above here, so you can go 5, 6. Now here's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Knowing all that, you could be that is using nothing but that scale. And then the little 5 and 6. There's 6, 5, back to 1. Okay, I know that seems like a lot, but that's how we play lead guitar for the most part. That's the quickest way to hunt down a melody too. Okay, by that I mean I'm going to use this. All I did was go from 8 or 1 straight on down the scale. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's how you play that. You play the major scale backwards. Okay, that's all it is. But if you play the whole chord with it, like this A looking chord, but I'm in C now, play that octave up there, the 8. Believe it or not, Christmas songs are the easiest way to figure out melodies, and then you can start finger picking. That was nothing, I'm just noodling around. But that is using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in any way that you want to. Okay? So that shows you quickly how to play lead stuff. That, my friends, is theory. That's all there is to this stuff. But there's a lot of this you have to figure out not on your own anymore, because I just gave you the entire secret to all of this. You have to use your brain. Okay? There's things like this. Like I said, I'm going to get you around the entire neck. That's where I'm going next. I know it seems like we're blasting through. That's because we are. You have to stop. Like I told you, you're going to have to pause this thing and work for a few days before you even unpause it. And that's the way it is. If you only pause for a minute, that's a minute pause. That's a whole different thing. You'll learn about that when you get older. If your ladies are out there playing this. Guys, you're going to not look forward to it later on. Anyway, let's go something that actually has dots on it. So I'm going to go to the key of A on my low E string, so up to the 5th fret, and we're going to do 1, 3, 5, 6. Okay, 1, 2, we don't want a 2, I want 1, 3, 5, 6. This is a cool thing. This is lead guitar stuff. But this gets you around the neck. 1, 2. Now your 3 is normally here. I want it somewhere else. That same note. I know it's there. What is that? That's a D flat or a C sharp, whichever one you want to call it. Again, sound these notes out. Find it. 1, 2, 3. I need the 3 because you said 1, 3, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. So I need that note somewhere else. I'm just going to Okay, just go till I find it somewhere. Okay, so I'm actually want to go 1, 3, 5, 6. Okay, how'd I get 5, 6 that way? 1, 2, 3. We determined that I'm going to do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is that one. So now I know I've got 1, 3, 5, and 6 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need that note somewhere else. This is the one I'm looking for. Find it somewhere else. Okay, there's a million places for these things. Like I said, we're going to find things all over the neck. 1, 3, 5, 6. Okay, so that's what I want you to remember right now. It's just that. 1 at the 5th fret, low E string. 3, we're going to actually go slide from the 2. So 1, 2, 3. So it's a slide. 1 to 3. Don't let this double dot fool you. That's not the 12th fret up here. That's just, again, this Martin guitar happens to put 2 dots there just to screw with your brain, I guess. Who knows why, so don't think I'm way up here. Okay? So 1, we're going up to the 9th fret. There's your 3. Now on your A string, we're going 7, 9, which is 7th and 9th fret. So 5, 9, 7, 9 are your fret numbers. And your notes are your root, your 1, 3, 5, 6. Okay? 1, 3, 5, 6. 1, 3, you slid up to it, 5, 6. Now we're going to go to 1 again. Here is 1. Okay? If you actually go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, put your finger, your pinky, on that 8 or the 1 and put it where you originally started at with your first finger. And do those two. Those are octaves, like we talked about at the very beginning of this. Get to know that. That's an A. We know that. That's an A. Look at it. Think of the scale where it's going to end. All it is you skip a string, go up 2 frets. It's always going to be there. That's an A, that's an A, that's an A, that's an A. So if you're looking at this, you can already see this is where you're going to end up. 1, 3, 5, 6. Now we start there. 1, 3, 5, 6. It's the same thing. Exactly the same thing. So you don't have to worry about how do I figure them out now. It's going to look like this. 1, 3, 5, 6. It's going to look. So once you got that down, then start it again from here, because you can see where it's going to come from. Let's start it from the 1 again. 1, 3, 5, 6. Okay? So we have this. Okay? Pause, 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 learn it. That's the way that works out. I'm not even telling you what frets these other ones are on. It's exactly the same as this. Okay? Now we get to start again. Thing is, once you get to this point, you had your octaves here with only 1 space in between, 1 fret in between. Now because of the imperfections I was talking about on guitar, once you're there's your 1. Okay, so there's your 1. Now we got to find a 1 on the B string. That's where everything gets screwy now. It's going to be 1 fret higher than you think because of the way the B string is tuned. Remember, because you normally tune everything 5th fret, 5th fret. When you get to the B, you got to go back, so it actually forces everything up 1. So now everything from your D string, if you're trying to find the octave, is skipping 2 frets now and 1 string. So 7th fret on the D string and actually 10th fret on the B string. So that's your octave. So that's your A. So is that. That's your A. Same thing's going to hold true if you go on the G string and try to find an octave. Because that B string is still there, you have to skip 2 frets. So if you're starting on the low E, it's always going to be just skip 1 fret and go to the next string. So you're skipping a fret, skipping a string. If you move it down, same thing. But then once you finally start trying to work on something from the D string and try to find an octave, you gotta go 2 frets apart because of the way that stupid B string's tuned. Same if you start on the G string, try to find an octave, you gotta skip 2 frets because of the stupid B string thing. So look it up on the internet. I don't even know who invented guitar, but they screwed up when they put that B string tune like that. Okay? That's what makes a D chord have to look like this instead of like that, the way it should be. Okay? So back to our point, our little scale we're working on. 1, 3, 5, 6. 1, 3, 5, 6. Now our next 1 is going to be there because we're taking it off the D string, and we have to skip 2 frets and a string. So it's going to be there. Okay, so now we go the same thing as we were doing. 1, 3, 5, 6. Don't worry about anything. It's still going to look exactly like you were doing before. You've got a fret between each one open. So 1, 3, sliding from the 2, 5, 6. It's always going to look exactly like that for the rest of your life. So pound this one into your brain. 1, 3, 5, 6. 1, 3, 5, 6. 1, 3, 5, 6. If you want to reach it all the way up there, you can get to the A. You can find out where it's at. The whole guitar starts over again at these double dots at the 12th fret. So E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. There's your A. Or you can, you know that A is way down here, 2nd fret on your G string. So that makes sense. You start on the double dots on your G string up to the 2nd fret is what you're thinking it is. 2nd fret. And then clear 2 strings or 2 frets and find an octave again if you can reach as high. If you don't have a cutaway guitar, then sorry. If you have an electric, you're doing great. Or you can go over the top like this if you have a regular acoustic, if you want to go all the way up. Okay, what does that do? That gets you all over the entire guitar, just like I said. So you have places to work out of. To work out of, what I mean, you got somebody down here playing A. Just playing regular rhythm. What can you do now? You know you can do this from earlier. Because it's just that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it's just that. That's all it is. With this 5, 6 below it. But whatever order you want to put them in. This is music. Make up something. There's only 11 notes in the entire world. When you get to 12, you're back to 1 again because of all the sharps and flats. Otherwise, it would just be 8 if there was no sharps and flats. But for you to write something original is kind of hard because, like I said, there's only 11 notes in the world. What makes one song sound different from another is what order you put those notes in. It's the only difference. Okay? Some person can write a song like this. Okay? And you just want to do it backwards. Okay, now that's your song. I know it's exaggerating, but that's the way it is. Okay, and I just showed you how. Somebody's playing like it, but you could go. But you don't want to play it just like that. Play the notes and noodle around with them. Noodling around is the same as farting around, messing around, all the other words we can throw in here. So don't just go do that to learn how and where all your notes are, but then play them forward, backwards, stop in the middle, come backward, come to it, come everywhere. So you've got this. Anything there I haven't showed you? No, but you get to figure it out by yourself. Those are all the notes that I showed you. Okay, This is theory. I teach you 1, 3s, 5s, 4s, all this stuff, what is to be used. Okay? Now we're going to show you a couple other things here in this whole theory deal. Let's go back to, let's say, something weird. I want you to figure out how to play an F chord all by yourself. We're going right back to the beginning. Okay? I want you to learn how to play an F chord. If you already know how to play it, so be it. I want you to tell me what the 1s, 3s, and 5s are. And I want you to tell me what the notes are. Okay? By name. If there's a B flat in this thing, I want you to tell me. If there's a H in there, I want you to tell me. If there's a Z to the second power times 3 divided by pi, I want you to tell me what it is. But go figure me out an F chord. Pause this thing, come back, and we'll see what you come up with. I want you to figure out a 4-note F chord. Okay? I want 1s, 3s, and 5s in there, and I want it to be 4 notes. Go find me one. Come back. Okay. Let's see what you've actually come up with. I'm taking the guitar out of here. See if you've learned anything. F is a monster. Okay, so if you fail at this, that's okay. For now. Okay, so what you should have is, I want to make sure you even found the root note. My root note for my F is going to be this note. You're only going to hear it, you're not going to see it. Okay, here we go. Is that your root note? If so, what's the name of that note? That is F, of course. Because that's the name of the chord we're playing. I'll show you where I got them at in a second. We're going to make sure everything matches up note-wise. Okay. If you had that one right, good for you. Okay, the third should be this note. Play your third. Is that what you got? I know I sound like Mr. Rogers or something from Sesame Street, if you guys are old enough to remember those, but that is your third. What note is that? What's the name of that note? You should be playing an A as your third. So you've got an F as your root plus an A. Okay, now there's going to be a fifth. Is this your fifth? If not, go back, figure out what you did wrong. Hit pause. All this stuff. Hit pause till you figure it out. What you did wrong. It's the only way to learn is to use your brain to pick it apart. So what this is all about. Pick it apart, use your brain. Don't let me show you everything. What note is your fifth? What is that? That is a C note. So we have 1, which is our F, or our root, a 3, which is A, our third, root, third, plus a fifth, which is our C. I asked for a 4-chord, or a 4-note chord. What other note did you add? In a regular F chord, you would add another root, which would be another F, which would be this. So hopefully that's what you ended up with, was those 4 notes. Play them with me. Here we go again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're playing F, A, C, and F again. Does yours look like this? Okay, here's what we have. Our F is this one, 3rd fret, with your ring finger on the D string. Okay, so we're playing here. Followed by your middle finger for the 3rd, A, which is this one, 2nd fret on the G string, and lovely enough, we end up, see if you remember this, with a bar. That's right, your finger is actually barring across, is what they call it. B-A-R-R-E, again, spelling lesson, to get your 5th, which is your C, and your F. So you have both notes. See, that's kind of a trick question. That's what I'm here for, though. Challenge your brain. So you end up with that. Okay. From that, that's a hard chord. That's one of your tougher chords. From here, if we wanted to make that an F suspended 2nd. Figure it out. Come back, you tell me what it is. Again, hit pause if you have to. Okay, I'm ready. If you hit pause and you think you got it. Otherwise, I'm jumping right on past you. What is the 2nd? The note. Okay, I want to hear it. Just the one note, which is your 2nd. It better be this one. That's what I want to hear. If not, you did something wrong. What was the rules? Find your highest root note, highest sounding root note, which would have been your F here, and start counting up again the scale. 1, 2, 3. That's all you need is the 2nd. So you better have put your pinky on the 3rd fret on your high E string. So now you have this. For an F suspended 2nd. Okay? Okay, we're going to do one other thing. Actually, we're going to do a couple things to make sure you got them. So there's regular F and F suspended 2nd. Okay, I want you to do an F suspended 4. If you have to pause, do it now. Okay, now I just want to hear the 4 note that you selected. What is it? Play it, just the 4 note. That should be it. That is a B flat. How did I arrive at this monstrosity? Okay, all you need to do, what was your 3rd in this thing? That is this note, your A on the G string, because you went from F. 1, 2, 3. What's 4? Okay, we're just back to this thing again. This is all there is to it. 1, 2, 3, 4. You should, by this point, be recognizing where your 3rd is, where your 5th is, where your root is, blah, blah, blah. And just realize that a 3rd, to get to a 4th, only has to go up 1 fret. That's all it is. In everything. If you ask for a suspended 4th, look for your 3rd. You should start recognizing where your 3rds are, and then just sharp them 1. Okay, to do that, the easiest way to do it, F suspended means add, remember, so add a 4. So take your pinky, put it on that note. Okay, so all of a sudden you went from A to B flat. Okay, so here's F suspended 4. F regular, major, F suspended 4, okay, and the suspended 2nd, Okay? Now, I want you to play, here's something that you have not done yet, an F6. Okay? Think this one out. Okay? By think this one out, look for your fifth, and what you know, look at your scale. I don't care what key you choose. We're going to stay in F, but what does it take to make a 5 into a 6? Okay? When you're doing your little... What's it take to go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 6? What kind of move does that take? So you're going to try to make an F sixth chord. For some reason, when they do sixths or sevenths or whatever, they don't call them suspendeds. Only on your 2 and your 4 do they call them that. Everything else, they just give it a TH sound, like you live on 6th Street. Okay? So only on 2 and 4 do they call them a suspended. Okay, so we're looking for F6. Same thing, you're just adding a 6. What did you come up with? We're going to find out right now. I want to hear the note. Just the note that is the 6th. Play it. It better be this. If not, you did something wrong. All it is, well, there's your 5th. That C note. And in order to go F, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and because of the B string, 6, it's right there for you. That's a D note. So you play a F, you add the D note with your pinky. Whatever you have laying around. So there's F6. So that teaches you all of that stuff. That should take the mystery out of it. You just have to use your canoodle. If yours is as pretty as mine. Messing with you. Okay, I know I'm an old geezer. But that is how you get these things. You have to use... Here, how about you look at me for a second? Yeah, I like that. Anyway, use your noodle. That's what this entire lesson is about, to teach you to use your brain. Okay? But it's all this 1, 2, 3, 4, do, re, mi, blah, blah, blah stuff. That's all it is. But this gives you an inside track to it and shows you totally what it's about. Okay? So there's that. We'll get on to one more thing, a couple things. We've got about 10 minutes left in this lesson that we can do. Okay. So there's a 6th. We got a suspended 2nd. Okay. What I want you to do now is to take that same F chord, we're going to mess with it one time, and make it an F minor. You remember how to do that? What do we do to make a minor? We flat the 3rd. Go ahead, take that F and flat the 3rd. Hit pause if you have to now. Okay, here it comes. That note I want to hear is just the flatted 3rd. That's the only note I want to hear first. Make sure you flatted the right note. It better be this. Okay? If you didn't get it, you got some studying to do. Rewind the entire tape. Go back 1 hour and 50 minutes. I know I shouldn't laugh, but... Okay, that is actually an A flat or a G sharp, whichever you prefer to call it. They are both the same note. Okay, so what we did, there it is we have F. Here is your 3rd. Here on the G string, 2nd fret. So you simply have to move it back. It sucks to do that. So what can we do? Use your brain. Make it easier. Change some stuff. Instead of that one just barring the first 2, well, let it bar 3 notes. Okay, so the only thing we have is your F, then your flatted 3rd. So there's an F minor. Okay. So if you didn't get it right, try it on some other chords. Keep working around with it. You'll figure it out. Just flat the 3rd. That makes a minor. Okay. One of the coolest things around, if you guys are not familiar with bar chords, this will teach you an awful lot. A bar chord, I'm going to show you, let's do an A bar chord because I have a dot here to show it to you. So let's go to the 5th fret. On what string? Yep. The sphincter says what? Exactly. What fret? Yep. 5th fret. What string? Yep. That means all of them. That's right. You're going to bar. If you don't know these, hey, something new. Imagine that. You buy a video lesson thing and I teach you something. I know it's a first. You want to put that finger, your first finger, the one you point at like this, all the way across all 6 strings. Okay? That's where we're going to actually be doing this. So since this is an A, we have to build a whole chord on this. What this is going to end up being, folks, is this, so you know where we're going at. We're going to play all of our strings, but we're going to add thirds and fifths and more roots and blah, blah, blah in these last couple minutes. So let's get another note in here. It looks like this. I will help you out. It goes root, 5th, root, 3rd, 5th, root. Once again, write it down if you have to. So I want you to figure this out by yourself from here on out. Root, 5th, root, 3rd, 5th, root. And that is going down the strings like this. So your low E string will be a root. Your A will be a 5th. Your D string will be a root. Your G string will be a 3rd. Your B string will be a 5th. And your high E string will be another root. Okay? Try to figure that whole chord out by using this. It just keeps building up. You should know how to do this if you've been practicing and pausing like you should be. Okay, so it's only going to be 2 seconds or so for me here. Pause it. Figure it all out. Okay. Here we go. Right now you should actually have what looks like this. If yours don't look like that, shame, 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 shame. I'll give you a hint. Here's what it is, kiddies. If you know how to play an E chord, what you do is get rid of your first finger and then learn how to play it like this. Take a look. Oh, then you have to explain. Play an E chord. Move that exactly like it is. Put your first finger behind there and let it go until your first finger is barred, like I told you, across that 5th fret, and move that E chord with your new formation up to here, and that's how it should look. So that's all you're doing. This here's called the nut on your guitar. So you're going like E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. These you play anywhere you want. This is what we're looking at. So we have root. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I asked you to get that 5. That's an E note. So we have root and a 5. And then we have another root. So that's just simply going that octave thing I told you about where you skip 1 fret and skip 1 string. So we have root, 5, root. Now we need a 3rd. How do we get a 3rd? We start from the root. 1, 2, 3. So we'll put a finger there at that 3. Okay? And we know since that's an E string, and that's an E string, if that's an A, then that's an A. So we needed another root. So there is going to be an A there because you're barred all the way across. Make sense? And remember I told you a 5th is always going to be like right here above your root. Okay? So that's how we figure all this out. Root, 5th, root, 3rd, then there's a 5th, and a root again. Okay, weird thing about this. Check this out. Here's how easy it gets. Okay? Remember, this is our 3rd. Root, 5th, root, 3rd. How do we make a minor? You flat the 3rd. How easy is that to do on here? Figure it out. Do it. Now. What do you have to do? Should be pretty simple. Just lift up your finger. Lift up your third, because that just flats it. So now we have A minor. And if you didn't get it right, since I lifted up the minor, guess what you get? That's right. Had to do it, sorry. But that's how you get A minor. Okay? So these are the rules. These are your theory. This is your basic theory. Okay? So this should teach you how to play every chord there is. I'll get down here again where you can see my lovely face. Anyway, once again, I'm Scott Grove. Try to figure out every single chord, even though you already know how they are. Find the roots, find all the thirds, learn how to play them in other places. Okay? You have an E chord here. You know it. Do you know this one? 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 Well, use everything I showed you. Go all over the place. Find out where the E is everywhere, and then start building your third and your fifth around that, and learn how to play chords over the entire neck using just that do, re, mi, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stuff. That's all there is to it. Okay, so use your brain. Get off of YouTube for a second. YouTube is a great place to find guitar lessons, and but they just show them to you without you having to think it through. That's what this lesson's about, thinking it through. So do yourself a favor and invest time in thinking it through. That's what the whole thing's about. You will learn a lot faster, it will sink in, things will become very easy for you, and you won't have to take lessons from people like me anymore, because you'll be able to figure it out on your own. That's where you're going to remember it. Everything else will just blow by you and you just copy people. But when you actually figure it out yourself, that's when you remember it. Okay? So once again, folks, I'm Scott Grove. Happy learning. Run this videotape 1,000,000 times. Get it yourself. Don't get it from everybody else. Don't get it on the playground. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye.